Thank you, ma'am.
A very good morning to all the participants. We are going to start the second session of this international webinar on global approaches to case studies in commerce and management, organized by Department of Commerce, Indian Academy, Degree College Autonomous. I, Shobha S., Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce and Economics, welcome you all for the second session. Today, we have eminent personalities who are a part of this conference, and it is my privilege and honor to introduce one such resource person, Dr. Geeta M. Rajaram, to our August gathering. Dr. Geeta is the Principal and Director of Global Institute of Management Sciences. She has a strong academic career of close to 2 decades. She has an international experience in curriculum designing of various international programs of ACCA and CIMA at United Kingdom. To her credit, she has authored and published many articles at national and international journals. Her research expert areas are corporate finance, economics, international financial management, strategic management, stock and derivatives. Dr. Geeta is professionally trained in management pedagogy from IIM Bangalore in strategic management. She is also trained for case method teaching at IIM Ahmedabad by Harvard Business Publishing. Dr. Geeta has been actively involved in teaching management case studies. She is widely appreciated for her innovative case study teaching techniques at various FDPs and MDPs across Karnataka. Ma'am, I take this opportunity to welcome you on behalf of Indian Academy Degree College Autonomous and request you to take over the session. Over to you, ma'am.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Hope I'm audible. And I would start off very warmly asking all of you, hope all of you are fine and safe right now. So I welcome each one of you for a very interesting session on art of teaching business cases. It's been a pleasure to be on this, and I personally thank Professor Sushma for having invited me over. And I'm humbled by the introduction given by Professor Shobha. So let's get started. And please let me know if I'm audible and the PPTs are visible once I start sharing them. Can anyone help me out in letting me know whether the PPTs are visible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, it is visible, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. So let's get started with a wonderful session. A happy morning to all of you. So it's the journey and not the arrival that matters. I strongly believe in this powerful quote. The journey is more important and more than the destination. Hopefully all of you agree with me. So my deliberations for today would be, what is a case? Hints for case teaching, case approaches, and case analysis. So basically, we'll be understanding what are cases and how cases enter business classes. Few hints for case teaching. I will also pick up a small case today. I'm sure Professor Sushma has already shared the case with all of you, and we'll try and analyze that case. Okay, so let's get started. So before understanding what is a case and, we should understand what are the levels of learning. There are 3 levels of learning. Knowing level, right? Knowing level is the level where you as a teacher or as an educator tend to impart a certain kinds of basic concepts or something which has to be transferred. For example, something in biology, something in mathematics, literature, knowing level, right? So the student here tends to just know the concepts, right? Next, we move on to another concept as the doing level. This is a little higher level. It is not something that you just share with the students, but you engage the students. You engage the students in doing something like, it could be your labs, it could be your experiments, it could be your worksheets, right? You are asking the students to do something. So you're engaging them by giving them some activities. And the final level is being level. This is the level I call is the case method of teaching. You actually bring the entire business field inside the classroom. You ask students to wear on the shoes of a given character in the case and then ask them to analyze the case and try and find a possible solution. So basically, a student will be at 3 levels: knowing level, doing level, and being level. Now, before I get into the concepts of what is a case method, what is a case and things like that, I'm sure most of you will be wondering, how did this case studies enter business classes, right? It actually started off with lawyers and doctors. So most of you know that when a doctor is on rounds, during his regular visits to the patients, how is it designed? It is normally designed as the doctor comes in, he asks for a case sheet. So what is a case sheet? Basically contains the the minimum statistics, like what is his height, weight, age, his BP, and other basic statistics required for understanding what the patient is, right? After the doctor understands the case sheet, they try and diagnose what the problem is. So the doctor diagnoses the problem after understanding some basic concepts of the patient. After diagnosis, all of us know we all visit a doctor because we want a prescription. Understanding the basics and making a diagnostic approach, the doctor prescribes certain medications to us. Certain types of tablets or a certain kind of treatment is recommended by the doctor, right? So the case as a doctor is basically understanding the patient, understanding the problem, that is what is the patient suffering from, and based on this he tends to prescribe. So this holds good even for the business cases. The business cases also will have a case sheet, that is a case study is what we call, followed by a case sheet. The students are encouraged to understand the problem and they try and diagnose what they can do and then further possibly prescribe a solution. Now, with this background, let us understand how a case is normally picked up. A case will usually have an incomplete information. When I say incomplete information, I mean that there is some kind of business problem or a situation in which the organization is currently now in, right? Then it will also have a conflicting goals. Now, when I say conflicting goals, there could be a person in the case study who is supposed to take a few decisions, or he is waiting for his higher ups to give him the roadmap to which he has to go, which may be conflicting with his own thoughts. It may be conflicting with the organization goals, right? And then there is also a time constraint. We don't have the rest of the time to solve a business problem. Similarly, the case studies are also having a time limit. We don't have 10 or 15 years to solve a particular business problem. So basically a case will have an incomplete information. You may not have the entire organization information. It could be a situation based. And then definitely a case should always have a conflicting goal. Someone will agree or disagree, right? Or a possibility to take a decision, not to take a decision. And also there is a time constraint. So keep these three in mind. when you pick up your case for the class. Now, why do we actually want a case study in a class? Someone asked in the previous session, like for the undergrad students, how do we pick up a case, or how do we bring that? So first, you be convinced that case study will have 3 key impacts. The first impact that I would propose is captivate. The students will be captivated by the attention through the effective listening. They want to know what is it, what is the problem, how is it the person is going to solve it, right? So from just hearing, they move on to effective listening. The second key impact is influence. The cases normally influence the thoughts, emotions, and behavior of the learner. The student or the learner gets so involved in the case. I will tell you a few examples as we move further, right? So cases influence the thoughts, emotions, and behavior of the learner. The learner gets so involved in the case that they'll start thinking like the character. That influences. The third impact is the cases transform the learner from one state to the other. As I was telling you previously, from knowing level, doing level, they start being in the level. So they tend to move from one state to the other. Now, as we proceed, I just thought, before we get into the case analysis, how do you prepare your class for the case discussion, right? So it is essential that you as an educator need to prepare yourself and your class for an effective discussion. So these are a few points I have, captured where you can also use some of them and start doing the cases in your class. Always start with a simple case. See, the way we are doing today, we are picking up a case on Zipcar, a simple case. Secondly, discuss the purpose and suggested methods for doing a case assignment. I'll be sharing with you a little later. We should start with a simple case, explain the purpose for which the cases are, taken up in the class. You should tell the students why you are doing this case. The purpose has to be clearly defined. And then sometimes you can encourage cases to be done in a team. You can create groups in your class. You can ask 3 or 4 students to come together. In a class of your 60, you can ask some 5 or 6 students to come in a single group, ask them to discuss for some time, and then let them come out with the, their possible view of identifying the problem, their possible way of solving the problem, and so on, right? So this actually encourages team dynamics. The team comes together, so they will discuss, they will share their thoughts, they will start looking at the business situation or the case from different angles. Furthermore, allow sufficient class time for the students to meet in the teams. So don't rush the students. Normally, when we pick up a case in the class, it is not just 1 hour. So sometimes we may need 2 hours, sometimes we may go up to even 3 hours. The reason being is, if the case is not shared with the students previously, it happens that you tend to share the case in the class, then obviously students need time to understand the case, read the case, and encourage students to always read the case at least 2 times, right? The reason why I said students should be engaged in the class case and they should read it for 2 times is, first time they're just reading through the case, they're just understanding what the case. When they read the second time, it so happens that they will actually start making notes. You encourage students to make notes in the case itself. Ask them to write some of the important points that they find is critical for discussion, right? If you're sharing the case beforehand, that is, if you are bringing the case, sharing the cases a week earlier or a day earlier, it so happens that all the students may not read the case and come. We all know how our students, conduct themselves, right? So not all may come. So what you can do is, you can establish some discussion etiquette guidelines. So when I said establishing discussion etiquette guidelines, you can ask 1 or 2 students to, give an introduction to the case. Pick up the students and say, okay, you people have read the case, right? So come and just tell the gist of the case. Just give us an outline of what the case is. And this, how are you going to pick the students? They could be handpicked on the spot by cold calls, or probably you can also make warm calls. When I say warm calls, I mean that the students can be told or informed prior on, they are expected to come prepared for a boundary or a summarized version of the introduction of the case. So this encourages, and we are not sure whether all the students will read the case. So just to start the discussion, you can do this, right? Furthermore, take sufficient time to introduce the narrative and establish case facts. After one or two students introduce the case, give sufficient time to introduce the narrative and establish case facts. When I say case facts, do you recall when I was telling you about the doctor? The case facts need to be identified. What is the problem? As one of our previous speaker was also telling, identifying the problem, coming together. All this can give them sufficient time to do this. Don't rush upon them, because when we rush them, they may just do it for the sake of doing the, the case analysis, right? Secondly, I would say, reassure the student that messiness is normal in this type of assignment. It's okay if students are sitting in a group, making some kind of discussion. They will not be as disciplined as they are in a regular class. So messiness is okay. The messiness in the sense, they will sit in groups, they will put their chairs in a circle, or they can be making noise, arguing with each other. I would not say arguing, discussing a little louder. All this is okay. You should be okay with all this when you are preparing your class for case discussion. Finally, make sure you give your students an opportunity to provide their reactions and feedbacks. One tip for all of you is, when you are preparing your class for a case discussion, you stand near the board may not help all the time. You may have to go around all the teams that they are working. Start making notes of what each group is, trying to make some of the key points, and encourage students to provide their reactions, and do write these reactions on the blackboard, right? Why I tell you this is, when you write some of the students' points on the board and you end up writing all the students' points on the board, each student feels that they have contributed something for the case discussion. That actually stimulates the entire class, right? Furthermore, I would say, okay, you are preparing the classes for the case discussion. How about students? Okay, we are prepared. Will students be prepared? So I just thought that we should have a relationship or a contract when we start a case analysis. So the 4 P's of students' involvement is preparation. The students need to come prepared. They should read the case at least once, if not twice. Secondly, make your presence felt by moving around the students in groups, so that students also feel, okay, there is my teacher who is looking around, what am I discussing, right? Encourage students to be prompt and make constructive suggestions or points for discussion, and do write it on the board. Finally, I would say participation. Encourage each and every student to participate. Now, you may be amazed that during a case, I wish you practice it, you will be amazed to see that the silent student in the class will also make a point in your case discussion. This is something that, you will experience it. Definitely, I'm just sharing this out of my own experience. I just used to think these students are very silent, and they also make some valid points, and appreciate them. Just go and stand near them and just appreciate them, or write their point and stress on the points made by the silent students, right? So let's go further. There are a few hints for case teaching. Sorry. There are a few hints for case teaching. Firstly, begin with your commitment. That is, when you are picking up a case for analysis, I request you all as teachers to show your commitment. Be prepared. You be prepared first and know what is the learning objective. What objective are you going to achieve, or what context are you going to conduct this case calls for attention. Therefore, you should be proactive. So firstly, you be prepared and you should know what is your learning objective, why you have picked up this case, what are you going to teach in this particular session. You be clear and be proactive. You be first very, very, enthusiastic about it, right? Next is, you should have clear, well-planned board structures and questions. Plan your session with a proper structured discussion. The students may not be giving you structured opinions or constructive statements, but you should have a board plan in mind. Have a board plan. You should know what you're going to, where you're going to pitch the students' points on your board structure. That's very, very important. Have a board structure. And whenever the students are going away or drifting away from discussion, ensure that you ask the right questions and bring them back into the discussions, because students are students, right? So they would just get excited and they would drift away from discussions. So try and bring them back by asking some relevant questions. You can say, okay, that question is fine, but don't you think this is also important? Don't you think you missed this? You can bring such questions here, right? Ask questions to direct the class discussions always, right? Because if you don't support the students, they would drift away from the actual learning objective that you had in mind. Let students own the discussion. You don't intervene when they are discussing. Don't overshadow the students' discussion. Let them take charge of the discussion, right? Let them discuss. And I told you, messiness is okay in case discussion, right? Use themes. Make sure that the case chosen is aligned with your learning object. So suppose you're picking up Porter's 5-force model, or someone asked me, was asking in the previous session about how finance and accounting cases are picked up. So you know your learning objective. What are you trying to teach in class? So use your themes accordingly, right? Nurture discussions, which will actually students will be in charge of the entire class discussion. Ask them deliberate and focused questions. Try and ask a lot of open-ended questions, all right? And whenever you're asking yes or no type of questions, it so happens that it shuts down the discussion. Students will tell yes and they'll keep quiet. Or someone will tell no, and they'll keep quiet. No, try and ask more open-ended questions. Practice a non-directive type of coaching. Don't enforce on what you want them to learn, right? Let them talk and you only direct them. Don't only take them when they're going out of the context. Clarify and heighten the conflicts. This is the best part of a case study teaching. It so happens that when some dominant students who have more valid points tend to overpower the class, and then they try to come towards a conclusion. So you as a class or a case teacher, what you can do is try and pose an opposite question and heighten the conflict. So some of the students, say 20% of the students don't agree with a given point and 80% agree. Now, normally what happens, 80% of the students' opinion is enforced in the conclusion. But you can take the side of the 20%, heighten the conflict, ask some opposite questions and try and encourage additional discussions. Furthermore, plan of action for the protagonist. Always you start with a case. That in a case there are central characters. There could be a hero, there could be a heroine, there could be a villain, right? So you don't tell who is a hero or who is a heroine or who is a villain. Discourage biases amongst the students, because a central character can be a hero, he can be an antagonist, he can be a protagonist. So
Hello, madam. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Sorry
Yes,
for
sir.
sorry for the disturbance. Please
Yes, sir.
share your PPT or any topic in the screen.
Yeah, I'm sharing, sir. Okay, I will just stop and I'll come back again.
Not visible. Please.
Okay, I'll come back again. Right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is it visible now? Is
No.
it visible now?
No, not yet. Not.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, now. Yes, now.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Visible, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Visible, madam. Okay.
Thank you. Then I was telling you plan your action for the protagonist. So
It's not visible actually, madam. Madam is not visible.
make classrooms as an enjoyable experience for the students, because the student should actually live into the case. That's what I said, no? Being in the case. So they tend to make it as enjoyable as possible. Even after you leave the class, the students should continue talking about it, right? And use humor carefully and constructively. Once in a while, it's nice to have some humorous comments, something that lightens up the class, no heated discussions between the students, and so on. So these are a few things that I thought you should have as a hint for case teaching. Use offline lectures and general comments when someone is disturbing in the class. See, not all students make constructive contributions. There may be a few who may be actually distracting the class by, especially these days when we are on the online mode, it so happens that they may be scribbling something on the screen, or they may unmute themselves and probably, disturb the class. So what I suggest here is, for such students, you could probably share on the private chat box on, what is expected out of them. And if that continues, don't be merciless. Just remove them from the class. It's okay, because we only want the students who are receptive and make some constructive suggestions for the discussion. So these are few of the hints that I thought I should share with all of you to as a hint for case teaching, right? So let's move forward. Let's get into the basics, like what we started, what is a case. And as I was telling you, there are 3 simple ingredients for any good case. There is a hero or a heroine, as I say, a protagonist. There is a dilemma, always a conflict happening between them. And then you also have a time limit, right? So these are the simple ingredients of a good case. Someone in the previous session asked, why is that the cases get rejected? Is just keep these 3 hooks on, right? So what are the 3 hooks? You should have central characters. They could be protagonist or they could be antagonists. There should be a dilemma. It should not be an easy to reach out or solve a case. And there should be a time limit for the case to be discussed, right? Clarify who your hero or heroine is. See, I just ask all of you a question. Whenever we watch some movies, when we are watching the movie itself, we know who the hero is or who the heroine is, isn't it? How is that we know them? The way they are introduced. The way they are introduced in the movies. Similarly, clarify who your central character is, right? So probably you should think on the central character. And how do you describe your central character? Take this. There will be something that will be drawing energy out of that central character. Maybe the central character has to solve a given problem, or is in a conflicting mood, doesn't know what he or she has to do. So draws energy. The next thing is taking in information, as much as information possible about that central character. The description should begin with. There will be a lot of information. He's a senior manager, he's a product manager, he's a vice president. Very clear information. Why we know their designation is, we will know their decision-making roles. Are they capable of taking decisions, right? So therefore, we have to have an entire information about the central character. As I was telling you, is the central character in a position to take decisions? right? Or he has to await for higher approval. If he is waiting for the higher approval, say for example, recruitment, he wants more recruitment in the institute or more recruitment in the organization. Is he in a position to take decision, or he has to await for some approvals? So we will know what is his decision making, what is the problem area will be seen, particularly in this particular description about the decision making. And finally, when you are describing your hero or heroine, let students organize their thoughts. Let them know, okay, this is the central character, right? What is the problem that he or she is facing? And then what are his struggles, or what is the conflict that is going on in his mind? Let them organize their thoughts. I will take you through this very interesting Greek golden rules for storytelling, which holds good even because case study is no different than storytelling, right? Now let's take the analysis a step further. As I told you, in step 1, you introduce the central character, that is the protagonist. He or she has a goal to reach, right? Can you see step 2, the goal to reach? But in the process of reaching the goal, the protagonist has few obstacles. There are certain problem areas that is stopping him or her from reaching the goal. And there are few, in order to overcome the obstacles, the central character struggles to reach them. So the students need to identify the central character, what is the goal to be achieved, what are the obstacles, and what are the struggle points. By doing all this, all these has to be done in the given context, right? In the given context, in the sense, in the business decision making, right? So when the student does this much of analysis, it will be amazing that there will be few lessons that one can learn. Now, what are these lessons that one can learn? It could be your learning objective that you planned, right? As we were discussing previously, it could be Porter's 5 force model, or it could be any other lesson that recruitment policy, probably students will know about it as well. Now, what is important is the delivery style. Okay, the student identifies the protagonist, what is the goal, what are the obstacles, and what is the struggle in the given business context. But the student should be encouraged to deliver the concepts in a given style. The students should be encouraged to describe the entire situation, sometimes part of the situation. That is a critical point. The student should stand up and they should be able to tell, yes, this is what is the problem. Probably he can do this, or he should not do this, is also a good way of encouraging class participation in a case. Now, I'm sure all of you have seen this movie Lagan. I'm not very sure if I'm not able to see the chat box, but I'm sure most of you have seen this. Now, why I picked up this case Lagan is there is a central character called Bhuvan, right? So as soon as the movie opens, we already know who is the central character, right? Now, what is the goal of this movie? If you have watched, you will all tell me that to evade paying tax. I would not say evade paying, to not pay tax to the Englishmen who have enforced upon them year after year. Due to bad monsoons, the farmers are unable to pay the taxes as required. Now, in this, the central character has a goal of not wanting to pay the taxes, right? And then what are the problems he faces? We have all gone through this movie, right? What are the problems he has gone through? And there are few of them who will actually support him in his thought process. There are most of them in the village do not support his thoughts or his work, right? Of course, the ending is very pleasant, and we all know that he wins at the end. So the characters are introduced one by one, the conflict is seen, and then there is some strategy happening of playing a cricket match and the villagers winning over the Englishmen, right? So this is a classic case for discussion, absolutely a classic case for discussion in your classes. Now, I'm sure most of you have also watched the movie Bahubali. right? So now this, why I stress on these type of movies is, of course, most of you will say, yeah, we know the central character, we know what is the conflict, we know what the situation the central character faces, and then you know what is the ending and things. But remember, you can take this class a little away. You can take it differently. You can take it differently. Now, what is that? You can actually ask the students that this movie came in 2 series, right? Set of 2, part 1 and part 2. So ask the students that this particular movie, when it was released, the second one was released only after 2 years. Now you question the student, how were the audience kept engaged? For 2 years, the audience were waiting as to, why was Bahubali killed and things like that, right? So the audience were hooked on. So as a marketing case study, some of you can look at how the marketing partner, the ARKA, kept the hook on the entire audience for 2 years. And people were desperately waiting to watch the second one, right? So this is another case. You can either pick the movie itself as a case study and discuss the problems of a leader, or you can go ahead a little beyond the movie as a marketing strategy case. How did the audience, how were the audience kept hooked on for the period of 2 years? Okay, I'll just quickly take you. Always the hero will be fighting the villain. One word of caution to all the teachers, case teachers here is, don't introduce who is hero and who is the villain. Let students decide, because there is no hero or no villain in any one of us for that matter. All of us are human beings. It's only that there are conflicting ideas. The hero is a hero and a villain is a villain because of the conflicting ideas between the two of them. Nothing else. So don't tell he is hero, so do all that for him, right? Encourage them to discuss. Always case studies should allow peer learning. See, I request whenever you're doing your case classes, try and have a setup like this. Have that the students sit in a circle and ensure that when you're going around in your class that all the students or make their points very well and keep someone keeps a note of that someone is you. You should be the one who keeps notes of how team 1 worked versus team 2 and team 3 and so on. Remember, I told you there should be a dilemma in a case always. Decision making should never be easy in a case, right? Like someone was, talking earlier about Enron case, or it could be a Satyam case, right? Any case it should not be an easy case to give. I mean, it not be like a yes or no. Yeah, he should do this. No, he should not do this. No, there should be some kind of discussion happening, and then it should move forward. Now, this is a point I call for attention by all the teachers, case teachers is, normally there are 3 dimensions to teach a case. One is analytical dimension, second is conceptual dimension, and the third one is presentation dimension. So in an analytical dimension, my point of stress would be, if you're picking up a case, from the analytical point of view, assess the issue, what is the problem, what are the options available, do the decisions need to be taken immediately, or you cannot postpone the decisions, and try and assess what is the impact of your decision making on the organization's functioning in the future. Because once you take a decision, definitely it's going to assess other important decisions within the organization. So try and focus that. When you're looking at the conceptual dimension, you just want to introduce concepts to the students. I'm going back to the same example as a Porter's 5-force model. Apply a variety of theories and concepts. Try and bring all these concepts beforehand. I would make a suggestion here is, when you want to introduce accounting cases or a finance kind of cases, without knowing the concepts, it's impossible to teach the case, right? Students, if they don't know accounting system, they may not be able to apply those concepts into the case. But while in a HR or in a strategy class or in a marketing class, take the case directly, no problem. Take the case directly, have your board plan in mind and start putting the points of the students and then bring the concept there, right? Then the students will be amazed. They'll tell, oh God, did I tell all these points? Oh, is it all this? Is this the business canvas model? So they will be surprised. So conceptual dimension. So it depends on which type of case you are picking up. That will determine the learning process. If you're focusing more on how the students are able to discuss the case, its correct way to do is help them analyze a small case. Okay, if they're good with small cases or brief cases, you move on to a middle length case. When I say middle length case, it could be about 15 pages, 15, 16 pages, right? And ask them to find out the missing information. So that is your idea. In an accounting statement, when the students are given with final statements, you could probably focus only on the presentation, how the students are presenting or how they're analyzing the financial statements, right? So essentially, you can look at what type of case study discussion you want determines the type of case. So this, as teachers, you should know it well beforehand. Yeah, I was telling you previously, all discussions need to be controversial anytime because if everyone agrees, then what is the fun in discussion, right? Now, let's be a little more focused. Now, how do you direct the class for discussion? Now, these are some of the important questions I thought you should look at. One is, what is the challenge here? What? Ask that what question. What is the problem? What is the problem that the central character is facing? Or what is the situation that the central character is in? So what is the question? After you have identified what, now ask so what? Okay, what and now so what? So what does it mean for the company? So there is a problem for the particular situation, and then it so happens that what does it mean for the company? So when I say this problem, is it only for the department or it is for the entire organization? So what? And then now what? What? So what? Now what? How would you handle the situation by putting yourself in the leader's situation? Okay. You have identified what is the challenge. Secondly, you have identified, okay, is this department specific or it is process specific or it is organization specific or sometimes industry specific, right? Then after knowing what, so what, now what? This is where the case analysis will begin. Now what? How would you handle the situation putting yourself in that central character position? Ask the students to sit there. Now what? What should they do? How should they solve the problem? Who will solve the problem? Lot of things will come in this particular discussion. So I encourage now all of you to have a quick look at your case study, which I shared with all of you previously, the Zip curve. Now, how do we start with the case analysis? Now, these are a few tips that I have written down that you can also adopt when you are doing your case analysis. Always introduce the central characters. The central characters may be individuals or it can be the company. Like the previous speaker was talking about Uber. Uber is the central character. Uber company itself is the central character, right? We are also picking up a case called Zipcar. So central characters could be introduced very well so that it's clear for us who are the people involved. Secondly, describe the company's business model. Now, why this is important is students should be able to understand where the company is operating, what are its environmental factors, right? Where is it working and how does it make money? What are the basic strategies adopted by the company? That is the current situation in which the company is currently operating. Now, you step back from here, right? You can tell the students now to identify what is the problem. So I request all of you, you could probably have a pen and paper and start writing these steps, because we will be analyzing the case in some time from now. Introduce the central character, describe the company's business model. Now ask the students to identify them. Students will be very quick. If they have read the case, they'll be very quick in identifying the problem. Then encourage the class to resolve the issue. Then ask them, okay, these are the problems. How to solve? How do we solve this? Right? So students, you will be surprised that students will come out with amazing answers. They will start telling you, no, they should do this, they should not do this. Right? Now, if you ask our students regarding the COVID situation, they will have 101 solutions on how to, remain safe, or how to, take care of themselves. Like, they will come out immediately. Then you should direct the favorable outcomes versus unfavorable outcomes. When I say favorable outcomes, I say which are implementable. That is the outcomes given by the students, or the solutions given by the students. Is it implementable or not? It's you who will direct them. Now, whenever it is not possible to implement, just ask the question to the class. Just tell them, do you think the company will implement? Or do you think the companies will not implement? Just raise these opposite type of questions. Then students will start thinking, oh yeah, okay, maybe. And students who are very confident, they will ask, why not? Why not, ma'am? Why should the company not do it? So appreciate all that. And final point I always say is, link the concept, the case, the discussion, everything to a concept that you plan to deliver earlier. Suppose you decided today to teach Porter's 5-force model, try and encourage class discussions. After the class discussions are complete, draw the concept towards the framework that you already planned for. Okay, so if I'm audible and all of you are with me, I will move forward with analysis. If someone can help me understand if everyone is here and everyone is able to listen to me. If one of you can just help me.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. So I'm sure you have gone through the Zipcar case, and I will, as I told you, I will be following the steps. I'll introduce the central characters. There are 3 characters: Anita Kerr, Sal Fishman, and Zipcar company itself. We'll further understand what is the business model of Zipcar, right? Of course, ultimately, why are we discussing is to identify the problems that each character is facing, whether it's Anita or Sal Fishman or Zipcar, right? And how do we solve them, resolve them, and should we take a future course of action or not, right? So I have analyzed this case from my perspective. I encourage all of you to have your own thoughts. So I will get started. So I'm now introducing one of the characters called Anita Kerr. I'm quickly reading through this PPT, this particular slide. Anita Kerr is a lady who lives in Cambridge, Boston, and plans for a road trip to support her sister. Yes, sir?
Madam, PPT not visible.
Okay, I will come back again.
It's visible. Visible, ma'am.
It's visible, ma'am. Ask him to
Okay.
click on your presentation.
Okay. Thank you. So shall I continue?
Yes, ma'am. You can continue, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay. Anita Kerr plans for a road trip to support her sister, who is making a debut as a new drummer. One concert is happening and she wants to go and support her sister by being there. Right? Where is the concert? The concert is in a place called Lupo in Rhode Island. All right. Anita Kerr lives in Cambridge, and the car was not a necessity because everything was available within a walking distance. So she doesn't possess a car. She doesn't own a car, right? She visits her sister, or whenever she wants to visit her sister or to get some groceries, she uses Zipcar, which is signed for 1 year, right? So she's a member of Zipcar, and whenever she wants, she'll hire a taxi or a cab, right? And now for this trip, what was the trip? She wants to take her sister to that concert in Rhode Islands, right? So what she did, she booked a Zipcar 3 weeks back itself through an convenient online reservation. So she has booked the car because it's a long distance. She has to leave Cambridge. So she has booked it in the online platform. And now what was her plan? Her plan was to pick up her sister at 4:30 p.m. and the car would arrive. She had booked a Zeta car, the model available with the Zipcar, and she wanted to arrive at Lopo, Rhode Islands by 6 p.m. So she had everything in place. So she had booked her car 3 weeks so that she didn't want any kind of inconvenience or any cancellation possible there. So this is Anita Kar for us. So we are going ahead. I'm introducing the second character called Sal Fishman. Now Sal Fishman, he is attending an interview at Brooklyn with Simon Property Group. So his interview is going on very well. He's doing it very impressively. And initially he had booked the Zipcar. He is also a Zipcar member. And he had booked the car for interview for just 1 hour. But since he was doing so well, he was performing so well, it now got extended to 2 hours. All right. Now, you all may be thinking, what is the relationship between Sal Fishman and Anita? Now, I will connect them. Sal Fishman, he had reserved the Zipcar to attend the interview, to pick up the Zeta at 1 p.m., attend the interview till 2 p.m., and return it by 3:30. Now, when did Anita book? She booked it at 4 p.m. So it was all set, right? Sal Fishman would put his car in the parking lot, and our Anita will come and pick up the car at 4 p.m. So everything was set. But since the interview was going on so well, this person, Sal Fishman, his interview got extended and he was in a difficult situation regarding the car, not the interview. He was in a difficult situation because he wanted to extend his car reservation for another 1 hour. But he did not get time to even come out of the interview hall and make a call. But if you read the case, you will know that he will try to come 1 minute outside and try to call the Zipcar to extend the reservation. But it so happens that before Zipcar can pick the call, he cuts the call because he gets a call from the interview room. So he rushes back. Now, what is going on in his mind is very clear to all of us, right? So now I'll introduce the third character called the company itself. Now, what is Zipcar? Zipcar is basically a car sharing service. I'm sure all of you know our Zoom car, right? In India, we have Zoom car where you can rent out the cars. Members pay annual fees, and based on the usage and the mileage, they keep paying per trip. So this company was started in 1999 in Boston, and it extended to 21 cities with more than 400 cars. So by January 2005, they had about 30,000 registered members and 1,500 new members joined monthly. So this company was doing amazingly well, very well. In 6 years' time, they had expanded rapidly. And they had positioned themselves as a low-cost alternative to other car rentals. So this is what exactly Zipcar is. Hope all of you are with me and trying to get into the insights of the 3 characters that I have introduced. Now, let us understand where Zipcar operates. What is its business model? Now, I won't read everything. They have a membership pattern, and people who book cars through them, through the Zipcar, they pay on a rental basis for a few hours or even for a few days. And the reservation includes 125 free miles, and beyond 125 free miles, they have to pay $20.02 per mile. And how it operates? It operates as if everyone books a car. After booking the car, they leave it in a parking location. The next person who has reserved will come to that parking location and pick it up, right? So members are usually provided with a Zip card as well. So people who get the car washed and all, the company pays them $15 per car wash, right? So actually that is the popularity that this Zipcar has, and a lot of Zipcar's expansion is been through few of these strategies. Now members are responsible to return the Zipcar to the designated parking location. So whoever is picking, whether it is Sal Fishman or it is Anita Kar or any other member, they should put back the Zipcar in the given parking location. So hope I'm clear, all of you. Hope I'm clear. Right. Now, what are the problems? Now, what is the problem? All of you will shout out in my class and tell me, Sal Fishman is unable to return the car on time, and how will Anita Kar get her car, right? So Sal Fishman now wants to extend the car reservation, and neither can he extend the reservation, nor is he able to cut off through the interview, nor he can reschedule. I don't know what are his problems. But one thing is, he is very sure that he wants to return the car or he wants to extend the reservation, right? Now, what is the problem Anita Kar faces is, she is not able to find the car at the parking lot because Sal Fishman had to leave the Zeta car at 3:30, right? But Anita Kar is already at the parking lot at 4 o'clock. She's still not finding. Now she calls her sister and says, I'm on the way, don't worry. Now what she will do? Tell me. Anita Kar will only pick the Zipcar phone and she calls them up and she tells that, see, I had booked a car 3 weeks back at 4 o'clock for pickup. I don't find the car. Where is the car? Because if it gets delayed at pickup point, she will be delayed by picking her sister and they may not be able to reach on time to the concert. So these are the problems that both the characters are facing. Now at this point, what you can do is, if students have identified these problems, ask them how to resolve this case. How do they solve? Definitely you will get multiple answers for this. They will, they'll have their own answers on how to solve, because Anita Kar is also important, Sal Fishman is also important. Nothing is intentional at both ends, right? Both are not wrong, but the problem is not solved. So what to do? Ask the students. You will be amazed to find wonderful answers and solutions coming. So I have tried a few of them. These are my solutions. You can have different thoughts. I don't say that this is correct and this is the final solution, right? Now, one word of caution for all of you is, case studies, when you're analyzing, may not have a single solution, right? That's the charm of a case study. They will not have a single solution. You can have multiple solutions. So how I have put across is to resolve and future course of action. When I'm talking about resolve, maybe, you can, the Zipcar can arrange another car for Anita, right? Maybe even a better version than Zeta car, right? Second thing is, they can charge Sal Fishman a higher price for extending the reservation. You all agree with me? Probably. And sometimes,
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
yeah, thank you. And then provide better facility to Anita in terms of car and pricing. Maybe, Zipcar can make it free. This trip is free for Anita because of the problem that she has faced. Or cancel the reservation for Sal and deliver the car to Anita through a Zipcar driver. So these are something that I have thought of. Now you should ask the students, if students are coming up with this, try and ask, does Zipcar have drivers? Because Zipcar works on a self-driven model, right? The members book a car, so there is no Zipcar driver. Should Zipcar have drivers in case of when they face problems like this? What is the impact on cost? What is the impact on the profits? All this, you can raise the questions when students are putting it out. And now, if I have given another answer as better facility in terms of car or pricing, maybe make the trip itself free. Now, Anita is not a single case for Zipcar. There may be similar Anitas in Zipcar membership. So each time making the trip free, is it okay? Will it work out for the organization? Ask these questions, right? And I'll take you further as what could be the future course of action. The company could actually relook at its pricing strategy. Does it have logistic arrangements made in case of reservations are extended? Do they have alternate drivers there or not? And see, for a Zipcar, both Anita and Sal are important customers, right? And this is just a case. Anita and Sal are just a few cases. There may be so many Anitas and so many Sal Fishmans, right? For them as customers. Now, how do they retain both Anita and Sal as their customers? All this will trigger a lot of discussions in the class. Students will come out with a lot of discussions, and sometimes we also may not be prepared for it. Now you bring your board in front of the students and say, what is the most favorable outcome? Should they continue with the present strategy? Yes or no? Yes, no need for taking any action. No, then what is the alternate action? Discuss about it. And then should they revisit their membership plans? Because they are paying 125 miles free, right? So should they revisit their membership plans? Should we resolve by making some logistic arrangements for car and drivers? Should we have additional cars or should we have additional drivers who can leave in case some customer extends the reservation and the next customer is waiting? How to solve that? That is some service issues, or that's a policy decision again. And okay, you're doing all this. Finally, you are surviving in the market. Zipcar is surviving as a low-cost service provider. So quality of service is something that plays an important role. So try and summarize all this to the students, and they'll be happy when they see all this, right? And then, told you, always your case should be linked with some matrix. For example, I pick up this case for Ansof's matrix here. So you can tell the students, so what should Zipcar do? Market penetration. It's not product development, service development, market development, or diversification. Try and read this matrix out. I won't be explaining this matrix though, but try and see that students will be amazed. Okay, then they will always remember Ansof's matrix through the Zipcar model. Okay. So then this is how normally we try to link the case study with a particular framework we already have in mind, and what are the strategies adopted and should adopt in the future. So I leave you with these thoughts, and here is my quote for all of you. You are a function of your thoughts, beliefs, and action. This is a quote written by me, and thank you all for the time. You can reach me on rajaram.geeta@gmail.com. I'm also available on LinkedIn on this address, which is currently on your slide. And I'm now open to questions.
Ma'am, before we start with the questions, let me tell you that your session was really very much logical and systematic approach was accepted. The session was quite stimulating and informative. It was indeed a minds-on session, ma'am. For the
Thank you so much. Thank you, madam.
Yeah, ma'am. There's a question for you from Savita Rastogi.
Ma'am, can I stop sharing this PPT?
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am. You can stop sharing.
Just give me. Yes, madam. Yeah, please tell me.
Yeah, ma'am. The first question is from Savita Rastogi. Her question is, can you refer some sites where small case studies on HRM are available without copyright issue?
Yeah. Professor Savita, thank you for the question. I personally see that a lot of brief cases are available even on the online platform. They're freely available. Okay, and the other thing I request all the faculties is, normally, we are surrounded with people who work in corporates. Either it could be some of your family members or some of your friends who are working. So what you can do is you just listen to some of their stories, or when you listen to some of the incidents that happen, try and prepare a case. I will tell you one small case which I could probably share quickly in a minute or two. Once there was a lady who was who was working with an institution for a long time, and she was there since inception. After 15 years of service, she was expecting a salary, but not the position. She started talking about her promotion to everyone around, during the coffee meets and things. So this actually extended to such a level that the management got to know about her talking about this, not getting promoted, and then she was removed from the organization. All right. Now, leave this case at this point. So, Madam Savita, I just say that you can draw inspirations from stories nearby. Talk to friends, they will be sharing, today this happened in my company, this happened. So, try and draw all this and develop that. Hope I answered your question, Professor Savita.
Ma'am, there is one more question.
Yeah.
What is the right length of the case study? What is the right length of the case study?
See, it depends on your learning environment, how your learners are. If your learners are very used to case study, means your students are very used to case studies, you can go up to any length of case, right? So a case can be a smaller case, but annexed as, you will have a lot of financial statements, marketing details, marketing strategy, product details. That can be actually, more on making the case lengthy. So there's nothing like called what you want. See, primarily I would suggest to all of you is, first you as a case teacher should decide what you want to teach, right? It is not the length which determines the case analysis. Hope I answered the question. Thank you, madam.
Yeah. Ma'am, there is one more question. What are the common errors in analyzing case studies and how to minimize these errors?
Yeah. So if you're asking me from a case teacher's point of view, you know already why you have picked the case, what you want to teach at the end of the case, right? So what you can do is you can drive the class into discussion, but whenever the students are going outward, they just go out of the context and start talking something else. For example, if you're looking at GeoMart now, right? You can actually, students will go off to Anil Ambani, Mukesh Ambani. Don't allow that. You bring them back. So it is, the entire strings are in your hands. You should bring the discussion back to minimize the errors.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, there is one more question from our Facebook link. How to deal with cases in virtual classes?
Yeah, I'm actually wanting to tell you this, that, in the coming weeks, we are also planning from my institution on how to teach cases online. There are a few platforms we are using for making the case study teaching possible. One of that I could suggest is we can have breakout rooms. You can also use a few apps. I just did 2 days back a session on online teaching methods, where I've shared a couple of edtech tools which are available for usage. I can tell you quickly, you can use Nearpod, which is good for story writing, and you can use Mural, M-U-R-A-L. You can use that app as well for keeping the students engaged, and interactive learning happens there.
Okay, ma'am. Yeah. Ma'am, there is one more question. One of the participant is asking you to show one case study format which is written by you. One case study format which is written by you.
Sorry, currently I have not kept that open on my thing, and I can share it in some time. I can share it with Professor Sushma, my outline, and probably ma'am can share it further with all.
Okay. Ma'am, there is one more question from our Facebook. How do we engage the students in active learning, listening, and involvement? Can you give some examples from your own experience?
See, as I've already described in my presentation this morning, I have told you that the strings are in your hands. It depends on what type of methodology you adopt. Case study is one of the methods of keeping the students actively engaged. There are multiple ways that you can do. I have been doing and I've been telling all this in various platforms for about 2 years now on how we should have adaptive learning, active learning, and blended learning. Right? You can have a lot of, there are different methods because out of context, I'm unable to share those details right now. But you can think, you can think of you can have a brainstorming, you can have a storyboarding method, and so on.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, there is one more question from Uma, ma'am. Uma, she's a student from Indian Maritime University.
Yeah.
How to overcome the myth and facts while writing a case study?
Okay, writing a case study is altogether a different, framework, I would say, because when you are writing a case, you are starting with a problem, right? And what are the myths and facts that you need to share? So this is one context that I would say. Why are more cases written outside the country than in India? The basic reason is we tend not to get a lot of support. We don't get much support from the corporate end in developing cases. There are a lot of facts which are to be not disclosed. That support we do not get. I cannot right away use Reliance because I may not be able to get all my facts in place while writing the case. Right? So when you're looking at writing a case, I was discussing this with Professor Sushma also previously, because writing a case, we need to do a different workshop altogether. It's a completely different mindset that the case writer has to keep in mind.
Yes. There is one more question, ma'am. When
Yes.
the number of students are too large in the class, how do we follow this case study method when we have more than 100 students?
See, in a Harvard business case, in a class, we normally have 90 students. Can you believe that? We have 90 students who are doing a analysis of the case. So it is only that you and the student should get used to this mode of case analysis. See, if you talk about a movie, see, the moment I put Lagan, I'm sure most of you went back in time. And have you forgotten that movie? No. Isn't it? Similarly, you should get used to that, and you should train your students to get used to the case analysis. Okay, this is how our professor would approach the class. That makes all the difference.
Ma'am, there is one more question from Preeti Pandey.
Yeah.
When to use a case study and a caselet in teaching?
See, a caselet is normally a brief case. So in the earlier years of your graduation, that first year, second year, or in the MBA initial years, you could probably start using the early classes to caselets. All right. As you progress, you should enable the students to read case studies, a little larger one, which will have an annexure, which will have a lot of details regarding the product profile, marketing strategies. As they move forward, you should encourage that.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah. Ma'am, I will just check. I think there is one more question. Ma'am, in the field of sciences, is it possible to have case studies in the field of sciences?
You mean to say like physics, chemistry?
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am. In physics, chemistry, and all.
Yeah. So what I always say is these case studies normally enter into the field of business studies because we don't have a lab, right? We don't have a physics lab. We don't have a computer lab. We always bring the field inside the class. That is how we use the case study. For physics, chemistry kind of thing, you already have the lab. You're identifying the problem, you're diagnosing, and you're finding a solution.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Yeah.
Ma'am, there's one more question. Like, can we publish the case studies, and what is a platform on which we can publish our case studies?
There are a lot of openings for publishing the cases. As I was listening to the previous speaker, Harvard Business, Ivy Business League. You also have a case study center, UK, where cases can be published. There are a lot of case study competitions also coming up in India. IMA also conducts case study competitions. So All India Management Association. So try and do that, or encourage you yourself can organize an event on case study competition, and then you'll get a lot of cases for discussions there.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, in the present scenario, right now, like we have like so many issues going on in the country. So
Yeah.
can we make case studies on this and give it to our students? Like COVID, right now, COVID has an impact on economy. So can we
Yeah.
make case studies here also on political platforms and other platforms, like how government is working towards it? So can we make case studies apart from management in these areas?
Absolutely. That's what I would say. These are social management
Okay.
topics, right? How do you manage the society? How do you manage people? What are the issues, right? So social management cases always available. Public policies will be evolved probably from such case studies.
Yeah. Ma'am, there is one more question from Bhumi Nathan, sir. What is the case study publication criteria?
Yeah, as I was telling you, we have to revisit case writing again on another webinar of this kind. And then we'll look at what is the criteria for publishing a case. Is basically, remember the 3 hooks. You should have a central character, a dilemma, and a time limit. Keep these 3 and start writing the case.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, there is one more question away from the topic. Which is the best college in India for MBA International Finance?
Oh my God!
Yeah, that's actually
we have multiple very good institutions. You have IIFT, Indian Institute of Foreign Trade. IIM Calcutta is very popular for its finance courses, right?
Okay,
So they can take a look at that, right?
Thank you, ma'am. So with this, I'll be giving the vote of thanks. I would like to take this opportunity to render vote of thanks to our resource person, Dr. Geeta M. Rajaram. Ma'am, please accept our sincere appreciation for the outstanding presentation on the art of teaching business cases. It was indeed a brainstorming session for all the learners.
Thank you so much.